La Nuba by Cirque du Soleil. An experience for every imagination in the family.
Welcome back to WD Magiccast for the week of January 29th, 2023. This is episode 213. WD Magiccast, the show about the mouse, the marvels, the galaxy, and beyond. I'm your host, Matthew Gracon. In this week's show, Dave and I sit down and remember Cirque du Soleil's Nuba that used to run nightly at downtown Disney West Side, eventually become Disney Springs. And eventually that show would be retired. And then we also review Drawn to Life, the new Cirque du Soleil show at Disney Springs. And now, on with the show. Cirque du Soleil Theater. We'll be back after these words from our friends and sponsors. Picture this. January 28th, 1999. Where? Downtown Disney, now known as Disney Springs. Cirque du Soleil, the Montreal-based touring circus that combines aerobatics, theatrics, special effects, and original music, most of the time, officially opens their third permanent U.S. facility at downtown Disney West End in Florida. The show, the Nuba. And just like many high-flying acts and contortionists that could bend their body in all different directions, I brought on a man who is just as talented and just as amazing. People stop and go look at him and wonder, how does he do it? That man, of course, David Goldman. Welcome back to the show. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm good, Matthew. Thank you for having me yet again. And you should have seen the performance I did to get down the stairs and get to my chair. It was breathtaking.
I explained the bandage on your head. Yes, sir.
Yes. Circus Soleil got nothing on me, man.
No. So, let me just, for the sake of asking, you saw Nuba at Disney World.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you've seen Drawn to Life?
I've seen both, yes.
Okay. Same here. And I think we should discuss about it. Chronologically speaking, let's go with the Nuba first. What did you think of that show?
Okay. Well, for that one, I actually saw it twice. I saw it once when it came out, 98 down there or something? So,
99.
99. All right. So I saw it around that time. It had it been like 99, 2000, whatever. And I remember, like, my buddy was like, let's go. We're going to go see this. And I've never been to any kind of thing like that before. And it blew me away back then. So I enjoyed it. Fantastic. So fast forward to 2017, I went down there with my wife and my daughter. And we didn't even know that they were closing shop. You know, we didn't know until we actually got there that they were doing that. So we were staying at the place we were staying at. The concierge there was like, "Do you want tickets for Cirque du Soleil? We'll probably give you, a decent price, and it's their final, performances." Because we went in December. It wasn't the last one, but it was like a couple weeks before they closed shop. And we were like, "Let's do it." My daughter, because she was like 5 or 6 at the time, it took a little convincing to get in her because she was a little, at that time, for whatever reason, she was afraid of clowns, and she knew there was going to be clowns there, and we're like, it's not those kind of clowns.
No. Not Bozo.
Like, yeah,
not
exactly.
Krusty.
We're like, let's go. And so you're talking probably 15 years or so, give or take, that I've seen it from one to the other, and it was still just as good. I'm sure it wasn't the same exact show because they probably took some things out and put some other things in, but fantastic. Either way, both of them.
Yeah, we saw it. I've seen it, maybe, I want to say 3, could possibly even be 4 times. I think definitely 3 times. Mm-hmm. And early 2000s and throughout, and it never ceased to amaze me. Mm-hmm. And just for anyone who hasn't been, the outside of the building looks like a giant concrete circus tent. So it's a round building. It's got it looks like pieces of the tent coming out with wires, and it's got the spires and stuff. So it reminiscent of a circus tent with stairs leading up to the entrance level, and there's an elevator that you can take to. Lowest level, ground level is a store, and you walk in. It's just like an arena or theater. You have the concessions and the walkway outside. You go in in bathrooms, most important. Go in, and then there's the seats. You have the ground level seats. Stage juts out from the back wall. It's like oval, I guess.
I would say
a rectangle. I'd say, right? I mean, it's rounded.
Yeah. You talk about like the form of the stage?
Yeah, the form of the stage.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cone, maybe. You know what I mean? Where it's round facing the stage. You know, so to me, there wasn't a bad seat. They were all sectioned off. It was very easy to get to. You had the ushers there. You know, very simple to find your seats.
Yeah, you have the ground level. You have the first raised level, and then there's a walkway that goes completely around the stage at that point. And then there you have the upper level. Even at the upper level, you're not that high up.
No, you could see.
And then the orchestra is elevated kind of in the wall. If you're facing the stage, it's to your right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where you have the orchestra and then the musicians. Left side is just stage stuff. Yeah, so it's the seats are. I've sat in all three levels and throughout that theater, and you're right, there isn't a bad seat.
Mm-hmm. And they're spaced out enough too. Like if you had a taller person in front of you, they're not blocking your view. Like, you know how you go to the movie theater, you're basically on top of each other. And if you get a tall guy in front of you, you're not going to see. But that's I never had that issue because both my wife and my daughter obviously are not that tall, so they never had an issue with actually seeing the performances. So
yeah,
you know, yeah.
And it's a very well thought out theater for the performance. Mm-hmm. You can tell that the theater is designed for the type of performances that go on there, or just for performance in general. You can put on any type of show in there, and you'll have a great seat. There's trapdoors, there's elevators, things that go up and down and whatnot. So that's the theater itself, and then the show, the Nuba, was original Cirque du Soleil show designed specifically for Walt Disney World. Now, if you go back, the creators admit that they actually rushed this show because they were working on several other big shows at the same time, around the same time. I believe O was one of them. And I don't even remember what the other one was.
Ka,
so
maybe? Ka,
maybe? Maybe Ka.
Because they're both.
I think Ka came out afterwards, but okay. Maybe. But it did. There was a few. There was a couple, and Lanube was the one that kind of they quickly threw together, and they didn't feel like it was as well as it should have been. Despite them saying that, I really enjoyed it. I've only been to 2 Cirque shows. I've been to Lanube. I've been to O. I've seen other ones online or TV and DVD. So I am fairly familiar with their work. Just in person, unfortunately, I've only had the opportunity at this point to have only seen 2 officially in person. 3. I take that back. I've now seen 3 of them in person, and because the one we were going to get to, I was blown away. I loved the music, how everything pulls you in, the stunts, the abstractness of it, the different characters that show up. There isn't a concrete story that is told to you and spelled out to you, but you do you follow certain characters throughout, and you kind of pick up about what's going on with them,
right.
And then all these just fantastic things of people flying around on the silk curtains throughout the stage, guys on BMX bikes doing tricks, the Diablo Girls, which is a wooden dowel put between two on a long string between two sticks, and they spin it back and forth. It's a Chinese yo-yo, I think is the other thing that they call it. And you flip it in, they flip it in the air and do stunts and catch it on the string and bounce it back and forth between each other. It was just spectacular.
Yeah,
And
that's one of the eye catchers, man. I mean, every performance is awesome. They have to be like well trained. I call them athletes, man, because they have to be in tip top condition to do what they do. So, but the Diablos, that would catch your eyes like, whoa, how the heck did they do that?
You had the power track artists that would just a long trampoline in the ground that they would be flipping back and forth and in flying through the air. The trapeze artists, the tightrope walkers. Woo. I'm sure I'm missing some of them.
There's the one with it looks like a building.
They go up and down the side of the building, in the building, out of the building.
Yeah, that was by far for me. That was like the highlight of the show.
That one for me
is just amazing.
Always took my breath away because it just the precision that you'd have to bounce on that and to be able to get in those windows.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously this is something they practice. They're professionals. They do this all the time, but still, they make it look effortless.
Yeah.
And it was just absolutely spectacular. So, I mean, I was quite upset that when they ended the show, but eventually you would have to. They replaced it with Drawn to Life, which was made specific. Both shows were made specifically for Disney. One was made for Disney, which was a little more fairy tale like, which was Nuba. One was made with Disney characters, music, and the like, and stuff. And Disney artists helped create some of the scenery that shows up into it. It's much more modern in the technology, which is Drawn to Life. But going back to the Nuba, and you got to be there towards the end. What was the feeling that you got? I mean, how was the place still crowded? Was it?
Oh yeah. It was sold out, jam packed. You could see the buzz that the people were trying to get that one last, kind of like with Splash Mountain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get on there before see it one last time before they close the doors. But for me, my experience, I actually with the shows, how many I've seen, like I was able to go. Me and my wife in 2010, we went to Vegas and we saw we saw Ka, because both of them were playing. One was at the Bellagio and one was somewhere else. I can't remember where the other one was.
Oh, it was at the Bellagio. Ka is at, I want to say the Grand, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, it was one or the other, but that doesn't matter. But they were both phenomenal. The only one that I saw that I wasn't that impressed with, and it wasn't the show itself. It was because of the platform with which they played on. So it was in Manhattan, in the city, called Windhoek.
Oh, yes.
We went there and we saw it. It was disappointing only because it was like a smaller stage. So they weren't allowed to do the death-defying, like high, whatever, aerial acts and stuff like that, because it was basically all on stage stuff. Now, it was still great, but it was a little disappointing. What's that?
Wasn't that one in the I think they called the Theater in the Garden? The Madison Square Garden Theater?
It was.
Or was that in one of the actual theaters?
It was the WAMU Theater at Madison Square Garden. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. In the garden itself.
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like it they couldn't do all that. So it was a little disappointing. Like, because once you see Nuba, Ka, and you're like, holy crap, what do we got here? And then you see that, and you're like, it was good, but it couldn't. You could tell they were restricted. So I give them a pass on that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but going back to Nuba in 2017, so you could tell it's like bittersweet. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're getting that last in there, but you actually realize that you're never going to see this performance again at all.
Right. So,
but you could tell the energy. You could tell, like, when it was over, the ovations were a little bit longer, a little bit louder. It's fantastic, man. It gives you chills when you're there. And it just, you soak it in, man. You try not to forget that kind of experience. It was really cool. I'm glad we did it, And and the price point isn't bad. I don't think it's that bad for that kind of show. Depending on where you want to sit in there, you can go cheap and be up in the top tier. But you'll still be able to see the show.
In some ways, being higher up is sometimes better.
Yeah, because you get the full view.
There's so much going on the stage during these shows at one time that to be able to be up close and focus on everything becomes a challenge. Mm-hmm. When you're sitting further back, you get the grander scope. There's one time I was there with my wife and she wasn't feeling good. We had these tickets, so I went by myself. And it was the upper tier. So beyond the walkway. It wasn't the highest seats, but it was in that upper section. Mm-hmm. And I was able to just see everything happening. And it just is so impressive. And there's so much kinetic energy and just kinetic effects going on that stage at one time. So to be further back, you can take that in and appreciate it more. So in some ways, the cheaper seats are sometimes the better seats in this situation.
Yeah, because there's, like you just said, there's so much going on stage at once. You can't just focus in on one thing. Your eyes are like going all over the place trying to soak it all in of what's actually happening. The choreograph of it all is just, it's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. How do you put this together without complete chaos and just people running into each other? But exactly. they pull it off, and they pull it off every night, twice a night.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And because whenever I saw Drawn to Life, we were in fourth row, I want to say.
Okay.
We were much closer to the stage. And I had trouble focusing in on everything going on because my field of vision was so much smaller that it became definitely much more challenging for me to take that in.
For me, Drawn to Life, we were like second tier level, which was perfect. We were able to see everything and anything on there. For me, like if I were to give somebody advice, if they're going to see Drawn to Life, I would say second tier to the third tier, because that is definitely another one where there is so much stuff going on built around the stage that you need to see. Like, you need to be further back to enjoy that.
Yes. And going back to the Nuba, the music for it, original, to me, just driving, powerful, energetic music. The singer, anytime that she did sing words, I want to say it was French. It was definitely not something that I understood and spoke.
Yeah, me neither. I could never figure it out. But I just women. I didn't know if it was an actual language or a made up language.
It didn't matter because it still it transcended language. It just the language of the music,
right,
and the atmosphere. It pulled you in, and just some of those notes that she hit, and just the power of just sometimes singing just vowels and just singing notes. Just gave you goosebumps, and it would be electric guitar and drums. It was more of a alternate type of music, the rock type of, which for me is right in my wheelhouse. That's the type of stuff I like. And I love the music. I love the show. I loved everything regarding the Nuba in that aspects, that you had all these key elements. Mm-hmm. And the look on the stage, that the style was going industrial / tech modern for its time, because you would get like .com and the ensemble, but it was at sign that they were referring to, and the pound sign and the type of stuff would be flashing around or on some characters and whatnot. So it was. I really liked it, and it was something that anytime someone would talk about it, I always highly suggested it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they broke up between each act pretty nicely with the clowns. You know what I mean? They'd come out, have that little comedy relief and stuff while they're fixing up the stage for the next act. Boom.
And they would do something like really off the wall.
Yeah, off the wall. And then you get the laugh of the crowd, and they just shuffle off. and then the light comes back onto the stage, and they already switched everything for the next act. So the blend and the transition, everything was on point, man. They had it down. I was thoroughly impressed, man. It was one of those things, and I don't know, out here, I don't think, you may know differently, that it wasn't that widely advertised. It was only like maybe when you got to Florida, because when you're going to Disney, you're going to Disney. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until you got to Disney where they're like, okay, if you're going to Disney Springs, you need to check out, La Nuba. That's how I took it. Like, it's weird how obviously they did enough advertising because it seemed like every show was sold out. But, was it worldwide advertised to go to La Nuba when you go to Disney? I didn't get that. You know what I mean?
Besides the specific areas where you would expect them on the Disney website, on the Cirque du Soleil website, those particular areas, yes. Beyond that, no, it was treated like a regional show. So if you're driving down I-4, you would see billboards. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in the Disney area, you would see advertisements for it. Maybe they did some TV ads locally. I don't know, but it wasn't something that was promoted outside its region.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, like, if you knew nothing about the Cirque du Soleil, you went out on your Disney trip. You planned a day to go to Disney Springs. You're walking around and you see this big ball in the middle of the thing. You're sitting there going, "What the heck is that?"
Right.
You know what I mean? So you ask around, you find out Cirque du Soleil. Oh, so that's why it's weird. Unless you do your hardcore research, you're probably not going to know. If you're outside that area, you're probably not going to know that it's down there.
But that's no different than the shows in Vegas.
That's true.
We don't get that advertising for Ka-O, Mystere, Love, mm-hmm. whatever the Elvis one is. We don't get advertising for that here.
That is true. Because if you wanted to know what was out there when you're planning your vacation, you would probably do, you have Google, to do like research. Show, what shows are going on at the time and stuff. So yeah, okay.
And that's why having a good travel agent on your side is key.
Luckily, we know one of those.
Yes, we do. So let's just say, okay, out of 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, what would you give La Nuba?
That's a 10 straight up, man. You can't get any. There was nothing in there that you could say negative about it. You know what I'm saying? It is perfect.
I would have to agree with that. I was toying with the idea of a 9 because it's not my favorite Cirque show. My favorite one that I'm aware of that way, that I've experienced in one medium or another or format is O. Mm-hmm. O just blew me away with the water acts and the amount of story and acrobatics and everything that they were able to do around the water. Mm-hmm. Again, just completely blew my mind when I saw that.
I'm with you on that. I like that, but I think La Nuba for me was a little bit better.
Okay.
Both fantastic. I'm with you on O. What they did there in that water was, for what they were, phenomenal. Obviously, it's been a while since I've seen that one, so I don't remember the whole entire show, but I do remember.
I saw it in April of 2001.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's been a while for me since I've seen that too. I've seen La Nuba a lot more recently than that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I can't knock it down to a 9 because I just love it hit all aspects for me. Mm-hmm. Between the music, the performance, the environment, and just how everything meshes together. For me, that show was spectacular. I know it's out on DVD, and I've been meaning to pick that up to add it to my library. So it's something that I can still, even though it's not there anymore, I can still go back,
still watch it,
and enjoy it and relive those memories. I have the CD of the music. Every so often I get on a Cirque du Soleil kick and just listen to their show music because it's so energetic, and it's unlike a lot of their other shows. Like, a lot of their other shows have a lot more classical style and a little more drawn out or easier listening type of style to it, where La Nuba, like I said, was like the rock star. It was
Yeah.
the teenager of the group.
Yeah.
You know, it wanted its loud, you know, heavy music. I mean, there was some circus type of easier songs to it, but then you had those other ones that just it was very driving and just the power, and it just added to the elements that were being performed on the stage.
Yes, I agree 100%. Especially, I'm on the music fan of the harder stuff. So to hear that was, for me, I was a big fan. Like, louder, let's go.
Rock out, banging your head to the. Like I said, in the woman, she's just belting these notes out while this guitar is shredding, and you know the drums are going, and there's people bouncing and flying up sides of buildings and in out windows, and it's just
and the thing too is like you sit there, like I don't know how your kids. We'll get into that with Drawn to Life, but my daughter, just watching her as the show progressed, her first time in 2017, just her eyes lighting up and just like taking it in, being real quiet and actually sitting still and watching something, you know. It was like
just there's so much, like I said, kinetic stuff going, kinetic energy, kinetic performances going on that stage. It just really pulls you in, which is the mark of a good show.
Exactly. So if it pulled my daughter in at that, like, because I didn't know how she was going to take to it. Is she going to like hate it, be antsy, be bugging us? She was on that chair, just like attentive of watching everything. So it was a win-win for me. I got to enjoy it, and she enjoyed it.
Which, sadly, like you said, that show closed, and after some time, we were given Drawn to Life, which is again, this one was a collaboration between Cirque du Soleil and the Disney company. There was a long time period that they weren't sure what it was going to be, what was going there. There was rumors about a superhero or Marvel one, something Pixar related, something that was strictly Disney. Especially in 2020, whenever the world went sideways, Cirque got into a little more financial trouble than they were in before. But things had worked themselves out, and they were able to put this show together. And it is, and I think I'm safe to say, Drawn to Life is a drastically different show than, I'm not saying that in a bad way, it's just a very different type of show than Nuba is, where this is much more settled. There is a very definitive storyline that you follow along particular characters. It's, instead of the edgier looks, everything is much more organic in the nature and organic colors, browns, greens. You have giant screens that characters show, Disney characters show up, and they move about. So you have, again, the kinetic elements of the Disney characters, from pencil sketches that go to the full-on sketches. And they brought back a lot of the original artists that they could to help with these animations. It wasn't necessarily stuff that they had taken from the archive. Most of this is brand new animated stuff, hand-drawn animated
I didn't know
material.
I didn't know that, because like watching it, it looked like it was some of the older stuff that they just, you know, reused for the show. I didn't know that was all redone. That's impressive.
A lot of this is redone. It's fresh new animation. Yeah, the characters on the so you don't have people. The characters don't come on stage; they are represented on screen and on through animation. So it's not like the parks where you have the characters walking around and they come on the stage and do stuff. It's not that. The characters are projected somewhere on the stage at some point in different places, where you do have the Cirque performers on the stage doing their things. And the music, it's pulls from a lot of the Disney classics that is integrated into the performances and into the storytelling. The story follows a young girl who loses her father and finds his sketchbook and starts to follow in his footsteps of becoming an artist herself, and her story leading through this and her connection with her father through his sketchbook.
Right, but she was like a struggling artist, right? Like she couldn't.
Yes.
She wasn't as good as she was. She was striving to become as good as him, right? That's kind of what I got out of
Yes.
this. Yeah.
Yes, that's how I got it too. That she met many setbacks, and she would try this thing, and people would tell her no, and she would get upset, and all that emotion was reflected into the performances, into the elements that are put onto the stage again with the coloring and the acts. And you have similar acts. You have the high flying. Now I apologize. I've only seen it once, even though I just saw it in November. Trying to pull everything in. So you have the high flying act. You have a tight rope act.
Right. The Wheel of Death. Yeah, the guys on the Wheel of Death thing going around.
Oh yes, you do have the wheel, which I don't think that wasn't in the Nuba.
Nuba
had the guys on the I think they call them the German wheels, which were giant.
The spinny things, right? Where it's a big wheel and they just spin
it's
around.
a giant cage, basically.
Yeah,
almost like a hamster wheel, free rolling hamster wheel that they would spin around and go around the stage on.
Yeah, no.
This is taking those but putting them on a spinning arm.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be counterbalance. You have one on each side, and it goes in a circle, and then they're in it, they're on it.
Yeah, that's the one. When that's going on, that's the one you're sitting there watching, going, "Why? Why would you put yourself through that?" Because you're waiting for them to fall.
How do you wake up one morning and going, you know what? This is what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's just one wrong move, and you're in the hospital.
Yeah, your face gets smashed into these things.
Yeah.
I mean, these are world-class performers. Gymnasts, dancers, acrobatists, aerialists. These are world-class performers that they've been training most of their life for. They go and they audition, or Cirque seeks them out, and they end up doing this.
Yeah.
So it's not like some guy that audition off the street and go, hey, by the way, you're going to learn how to do this in a week, and here you go.
Yeah, this one also had the little swings that would come down periodically throughout, and it'd have the acrobatists or whatever swinging around on them. So it wasn't just on the stage. This one, there was actually action in the audience as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, where Lanoob had some people walking around, but not really any performances going on off the stage. This one incorporates the theater more as a whole.
Yeah.
It draws off the stage.
Mm-hmm.
There's the swings. I forgot about those. Trying to think, what else?
As far as the acts?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what some of the other acts were.
Yeah, unfortunately, my Wikipedia doesn't want to show me any of the acts, which is Wheel of Death, synchronized unicycles.
Okay, unicycles, all right.
What the heck? What's an aerial pencil? Whatever that is.
It was so instead of having the silk drapes, for lack of better words.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yep.
It's a giant stick.
That's right. And then it says the synchronized acrobatics on inflatable airbag mats, which I think I remember. Wasn't it like they were on like a pendulum thing too, where they kept bouncing back and forth and flipping people up in the air and stuff. So there was a bunch of. Were they? They were different, right? The Wheel of Death is the one that was for me the one to watch.
Yes.
The performances were good, but compared to Nuba, I think Nuba had the better acts. I could be wrong.
I'm completely agreeing with that.
Okay, thank you. You gave me that pause, so I was like, did I say something wrong?
I am in complete agreement of Nuba having the more captivating.
Right, exactly.
Captivating performances.
Right. That's not saying that the Drawn to Life ones weren't good. They were excellent. It's just that when you're comparing the two, Drawn to Life is like, it's more complete because, in my opinion, because it's got the storyline that goes along with it. You can follow along with it. They have the animation, so you're seeing all that. You're getting the feels. It makes you feel like you're in Disney because all the animations happen with all the Disney characters, and then you have all the performances going on with the Cirque people. Whereas, Nuba was just hit you over the head with bang, 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 one awesome performance after another. So they're two totally different shows.
Yeah, they I think part of the difficulty for Drawn to Life is that's the follow-up to Lanuba, where Lanuba is the rock concert.
Yeah.
Drawn to Life is the operatic performance.
Right.
I to give it, just to say, one is, it's night and day of each other.
Yeah. But it's big shoes to fill, though, for Lanuba.
It's big shoes. They're going on a risk because they're trying to figure out how to incorporate all this stuff. And since, I think one of the complaints about Lanuba that they might have heard was that's great. What does it have to do with Disney?
True. And I could see that.
Where Lanuba was loosely based off a Cinderella type of story.
Right.
Where Drawn to Life is like, all right, you want Disney, we're giving you Disney. It is, you don't escape, forget that you're Disney or going, where is the Disney in it? The Disney in it is everywhere, even down to the father, who strikingly to me looked a lot like a younger Walt Disney.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the way he dressed, the way he looked, it looked very much like a younger Walt Disney of the time. And so you have a lot of, like I said, very contrast in each other.
Right.
The hard edges versus the soft edges, the focus to the stage to the focus all around the theater, the energetic, high octane music to the more subtle. It is definitely more for the family. And like, if you have sensory issues, this isn't such a bad thing, because again, the music isn't loud, the colors aren't intense. It is much more, it's a softer performance.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed before the time of it coming out, it seems like every main cartoon character or animated character had a cameo in the show, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but it just seemed like they made an effort to put everybody in it. Like, I don't know, I'm a Baymax fan. I'm a really big Baymax fan. So when he popped down there and he did his blah 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 blah, I got the chills, man. I'm like, there you go.
Yeah, I can't remember. There was a statistic out there at the time when it came out, and I don't remember what it was as far as the characters, but yeah, they tried to get as many to all characters in there.
And I wonder if that's a thing, like down, because obviously the show is going to continue to go, and there's going to be more characters that come out. Will they change the show to implement these new characters down the road? Who knows? We'd have to go and watch it again and see.
Yeah, it's let's see here. So you have the giant creepy hand guy. I forgot about that guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the women on the unicycles.
They were good.
Yeah, they were quite talented. Let's see here. Fun facts about Drawn to Life. Here we go. Cast is comprises of 62 artists from 15 different countries around the globe, including Japan, Russia, Togo, Colombia, and Peru. There are 10 unique acrobat acts to Drawn to Life. The show the show features many references to the history of Disney animation, few of which are 4 animators who befriended Julie on her journey from the Cirque du Soleil Cirque du Soleil's bow to Walt Disney's 9 old men icons of Disney animation. So it makes reference to the 9 old men, a lot of the original animators or key animators from the Disney company's history. Throughout the show, there are references to the 12 principles of animation outlined in the Book of Disney Animation, The Illusion of Life by iconic Disney animators and Disney legends Ollie Johnson and Frank Thomas. In the Dreams of Color Act, the kaleidoscope of colors pays homage to the genius of Disney animator artist Mary Blair. Also, the tribute is also paid to women of the ink and paint, unsung heroes whose brushstrokes gave life to the early animation celluloids. The Old Mill Act is inspired by Walt Disney's groundbreaking 1937 animated short by the same name. The Squatch and Stretch Act was inspired by the rubber band fights Disney animators were known to have during their breaks. So you have a lot of those things referenced. So there, again, a lot of deep dive details. Mm-hmm. And a lot of thought has been put into this show. Written directed by Michael Laprise, with Fabrice Baker as director and creations. Live acrobatic journey telling the story of Julie, a determined girl who discovers an unexpected gift left by her Disney animator father, an unfinished animation. As she dives into the inner world of animation guided by a surprising pencil, Julie embarks on the inspiring quest filled with childhood Disney memories. Developed along with Michael Jung, Executive Theater Development, Walt Disney Imagineering, the story is driven by 10 unique acrobatic acts alongside animation from beloved Disney films, as well as a all new animation created by Disney animator artists led by animator director Eric Goldberg, best known for characters such as the genie and the classic Disney's Aladdin. That's off the PR release from Disney and Cirque du Soleil.
Mm-hmm. That basically sums it up. That's it in a nutshell, dude. You know, it's just got off to a bad start with all the, you know, it was supposed to come out in like 2019, right? And we hit the pandemic, so they had to shut it down, lay off everybody, and then I think it wasn't until 2021 where they finally opened the gates.
Yeah. It got delayed because of the pandemic. And I think there was a lot of production delays, again, trying to figure out what this show was going to be. Mm-hmm. And everything about it. So it's you could tell that they really tried to put everything into this. Right. And try to make it where they said the last one was rushed. They tried not to do that with this one. Okay, yeah. So there's a single spinning wheel.
Yes.
In this one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, like the seesaw kind of deal.
Yeah, they're on the giant seesaws at the mats, and that they were flipping about. Even the costumes, they paid special attention to. Like a lot of the girls wear dresses, not to be feminine or anything like that, mm-hmm. to put more of a artistic style into it to make everything flowing.
Right.
In this. Okay. Yeah. The guys with the rubber bands bouncing back and forth. Yeah.
Oh my God, I forgot about those. Yep.
on the seesaw, making each other jump higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, aerialists. The animation desk, I thought, was a very key set piece that kept on moving throughout the show.
What was it? The desk or something was like a horse, or it kept like walking away.
And one point it transforms. Oh, and here's
there's the wheel of death.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing. Again, I would never.
Crazy people. Oh, the antagonist, the trash heap, the scrap paper.
That's right.
That would run around and bother her.
Mm-hmm. There's the big hand.
Yeah, the unicycles again. The funky hand.
Mm-hmm. And see, like back there where you had the animation of all the old school characters and stuff. That's where, you know, what's his name, Olaf, and then Baloo, you know, and then it just like there was Baymax was up there, and it was that scene that was really cool, you know. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on. It's just
some very touching moments.
Yes.
A juggler.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that was impressive. See, there you go. The giant
There's the flying pencil. Yeah.
Now we're looking at pictures, press release pictures of the show to help us remember a little better.
Yeah.
So that's what we're commenting on. So you have a guy, for the ladies out there, guy in tight pants, no shirt on, holding onto a giant pencil suspended above the stage, and feats defying gravity of moving his body and contorting it in different directions as he is spinning around the stage.
And that's impressive because that's upper body and hand strength, man, to hang on to that.
To be able to do that, that's impressive.
Because like with the silk, you know, aerial acts, you could wrap your hand around the.
You're wrapped around this. You are holding on to.
Hold on for dear life.
Yeah. Your hands get tired. You slip. You're done.
You're done. You wake up in the hospital.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then you got the dancing acts.
Yeah.
Yep, that's pretty much it. So yeah, that is kind of sums up Drawn to Life.
Yeah. It fits. It fits in the Disney realm. You know what I mean? If that's what they were looking for, the combo, I don't know how else they could do another show to incorporate both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, they had big shoes to fill with Nuba, and I don't think the pandemic hurt the show in any way, because you know how like some movies, it was made during the pandemic, you can tell that it was pandemic made and it hurt them a little bit. I think they had the idea set, it just pushed it off.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think the performances or whatever had anything.
No, I think the only way it really delayed them, because as I read, most of these people are international.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, at that time, you couldn't necessarily either leave your country or come into another country easily. Mm-hmm. So that because even in Epcot, you know, most of the World Showcase is the cast members are from the respected countries.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until recently that they were able to start bringing them in.
Right.
So it faced a similar type of situation, and I don't think it suffered from that at all. I think they were able to pull it off. It's visually beautiful and stunning. It is quite enjoyable. I am very glad I got to see it.
How was it received by the public? Do you know off the top of your head?
I haven't heard.
Mm-hmm.
I think in general people have liked it, and you know what? I take that back. There was a cast member, because we took a minivan because we were at the studios that day. We had to book it from the Hollywood studios over to Disney Springs to the west side to go see that. Mm-hmm. And so the cast member was telling her how much she loved it. He's like, "You will not disappoint you. You will really enjoy it, and you'll like it." So the feeling I get is it's fairly well received.
Okay.
It's fairly well received. So that, but could have been a biased opinion. Yeah, it could have been that too.
True. Yeah. It depends on I guess your frame of mind when you're going into it, because if you're going into it thinking you're getting Nuba, you're not. You know what I mean? So people might people might come out going, it was good, but it's not as good as La Nuba. You know what I'm saying? Which is basically what I said, but it's still a good show for what it is. You know, you gotta treat these things separately. You can't compare them. You can compare them, but you can't let one, kill the next one.
On TripAdvisor, out of 133 reviews, it has a 3 out of 5. Saying that it is very friendly, family friendly. Absolutely. So some people saying it absolutely blew them away. My heart was filled with joy. Stunning acrobatics, heart-filled tribute to Disney animation. One here saying it was just okay. Another one, excellent show. Disappointing, expected more from Disney plus Cirque du Soleil. One person saying not worth the cost, mediocre compared to other Cirque du Soleil shows. Made for animation history lovers. It was okay. Terrible seat comfort.
Oh no,
comforter. What?
This one guy, I'm reading on Yelp.
Okay.
He goes, having seen every Cirque du Soleil show that has come, also seen Ka, Mystere, La Nuba at least 10 times, La Nuba 10 times, drawn to life. Nope, I was drawn to wanting to leave the theater. That's a little harsh.
Ooh. Let's see here. One, a nostalgic trip down memory lane.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think the seats were uncomfortable.
No, not at all.
No,
that theater is good. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought the seats were maybe a little too comfortable because I do have to admit I did fall asleep a few times.
Take a nap.
That's
my problem with the reclining seats at the movie theaters, man.
Yeah, this is true. Boring, sucks, no storyline to follow. What do you mean there's no storyline to follow? There's a very following storyline. This is on TripAdvisor from someone that saw it in December 2001. Cirque du Soleil show. This is by George N. The Cirque du Soleil show prior to this one had a storyline that was easy to follow, and the dramatic effects serve a purpose. Drawn to Life has such a bad story. They had to put a narrator to try and explain what the story was. I hated it. I saw the previous show 3 times and was never bored. Disney sure messed up. I'm paraphrasing here. Messed up the pooch this time. Or then the next one's 5 stars. Awesome show, truly heartwarming. So the reviews
they're mixed.
Mixed, mostly good, but kind of all over the place. Couldn't wait for it to end. I thought it was great. Not impressed.
Yeah, like this is kind of what sums it up for me. It's this one person wrote, "This isn't your normal Cirque du Soleil show. It's a creative collaboration between iconic memory makers, Cirque du Soleil and Disney. We had a great experience, very artsy, very few acrobatic acts, but I love the sentimental meaning to the show." So that kind of opinion is where I would say that's what the show is.
I would have to agree. So before I go into it, out of 10, where would you put Drawn to Life?
Drawn to Life for me would probably get 8.5.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay. I figured you were going to go a little lower. Yeah.
Yeah. And it didn't help. Like I said, part of it, I spent a long day in the park ahead of time. This is after spending 3 days prior to the park. So it was go, hot weather.
Yeah.
We had the hurricane come through. There was a lot going on. So just sit there in the theater and not be moving didn't help.
Right.
But yes, I nodded off a couple times, but I saw the majority of the show. I saw every act.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel if it was La Nuba, that wouldn't have happened because there's just so much more energy and brashness to it that would have kept me a lot more engaged. Where this was, again, softer and more subtle and
Just a tad slower. It's a tad slower. So you can.
It was. I want to instead of taking a risk, I want to say this was a safe bet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In that aspect, and is it worth seeing if you love Disney stuff, you love the history, the animation, you just want to see, you want to be immersed and see Disney stuff, then absolutely go to this, because you will enjoy it. And I absolutely enjoyed it.
Right, but here's the thing: we enjoyed it, but does it have rewatchability? If that's a word, would you go back to see that? La Nuba, you definitely go back to see that one again.
La Nuba, I left and I wanted to see it again. Right. This one,
does this have that?
I go, oh, I saw it. I'm glad I did.
Been there, done
and
that.
Will I suggest it to other people? Yes, I've suggested to people. Yes, go see it. Mm-hmm. Go see it and enjoy it. But I don't feel compelled or the need to immediately go back. Is this something that maybe down the line would I eventually go and see again? Maybe eventually.
Right. And that leads me to think, once, I mean, obviously there's millions of people that go to Disney, but once these millions of people have gone, I'm assuming the box office is going to drop for them. You know what I'm saying? So what do? Do they change the act? Do they come up with a new show? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if this show has the long-lasting capability that La Nuba had. So, hey, again, I don't get paid to make these decisions. So
no, and time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will only tell what the future of Drawn to Life is. As we said, it's not just us, going over some of those reviews. You do have the mixture. There's some people who absolutely love it and will, definitely want to go back and see it immediately.
Right.
And that's them. And I am glad that there's people like that out there.
Right.
Because you need people like that out there, and that immediately want to go back and see it again and absolutely love it. And there is a lot to love about it. It just, for me, it wasn't having the experience, the two. I do miss the former.
Mm-hmm.
and felt that, despite what the guy once said, it was much more of an abstract storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was, but it just, I don't know, there was a freshness to it. There was an edginess. It was a risk taker. Of a show, and I think it paid off dividends.
Right. But here's the thing: did they really have to implement Disney in it? You know what I mean? Do you think that could have hurt the show? Because look, you're in Disney to go to Disney. I get that, but when you go to like Disney Springs, that's kind of like a break from it. Yes, it's near Disney, but it's a break from that. So do you really want to still get hit? If you want the Disney stuff, you go to the parks. You're doing all that.
Right.
So I'm sitting there thinking maybe they should have left it as like a non-Disney experience, and maybe it would have been received a little bit better amongst everybody. I don't know. Again, I don't have the answers for that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I think they wanted to, and this is something on the Cirque's end, that when the original creatives left and the new management came in, they started going to other IPs or other influences instead of creating original shows with original music and 100% original.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you get Love that's based around the Beatles, and
right.
the story of the Beatles, and it's their music done up for the show and performances around that. There's an Elvis one. There is there's the Disney one here. There is the Michael Jackson one. There is several now in that vein, and they're doing a lot more of that stuff than doing their own original.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that now that there's this Disney one doesn't surprise me, because that's the direction that Cirque had been heading in. And like I said, I want to say that there was some complaints that there wasn't enough Disney involved in La Nuba. So you all right, we're going to hit you over the head with it.
But you kind of wonder, did that make it as good. Because there was no Disney in it, did that make it better? I'm not trying to, put Disney down, but I'm just saying it's a different, people trying to get a break from because when you're in Disney, this. Everything's Disney. You're finding Mickey everywhere and stuff. Just to get a break from it. You know what I'm saying?
I want to say you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say you're right in some ways. The only exception, I would say, and this is me being the armchair Imagineer here,
mm-hmm.
that if you did a Star Wars or a Marvel version,
mm-hmm.
you would have gotten maybe a more powerful
performance.
You could have gone a little edgier.
True.
With your performances, with everything.
You know me, man. I would have been, if they did a Star Wars theme one, I would be very.
I honestly think if they did some sort of Star Wars or Marvel one, that you would, if they done it right.
Yeah.
It's not Rogers the Musical. It is,
Oh God, you went there. Go ahead.
Hulk, you know the magic words. Hulk, you know the magic words. Smash, smash, smash. No, you go with the, just the heavier tones and themings, that you would be able to put in there, would have paid off, I think, better. But they want to go with the whole more Disney family and Disney and Pixar and that type of stuff, which is fine. And I can't knock them for that. But again, I feel like it was the safe bet.
Yeah.
We don't want to take a risk here. This is millions and millions of dollars that we're investing in this show. We want to make sure that it is as family friendly as possible, as recognizable as possible. A complete collaboration between the two entities, and it's something that would be an easy sell to our audience. And I think they hit all those marks. Right,
initially. But
yes.
Again, it's the longevity of it that they may be looking at down the road,
Yes, that's the other question.
That's the only concern I have, and that, again, that's not my concern to worry about. That's going to be their concern as far as how long this show is actually going to last. How long are they going to get people in those seats to watch this?
Right, and time will tell. Just like us, time will tell how long we will last.
Mm-hmm. This is true. Hopefully a long time.
Same here. And on that note, Dave, I thank you for coming aboard again. We're discussing Cirque du Soleil and Disney World, Nuba and Drawn to Life. And I would love to hear from the listeners on this one, particularly. Have you seen both shows? Did you see just one of the shows? What were your thoughts, comparisons? I definitely want to hear from everyone on this one, to find out what their thoughts were on this going in. So maybe I'll put a poll out.
Yeah, I would put a poll, because that's I would be interested in hearing that too. Because what we read off of there, if you get some reviews back from your poll, we can kind of confirm or what we read is to be true. You know what I'm saying? It might be our listeners might be, in the same boat as the reviews we read.
Yeah.
They could love it or be indifferent.
So I'll put it out there. I'm gonna get the front of this. You know what? Just to be fair, listen to it for next week's show. I'll put it up so that way the results will be in next week's show. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Live long and prosper.
May the force be with you.
Thank you, Dave, for joining me in remembering the Nuba and also reviewing Drawn to Life, the two Cirque Du Soleil shows that have been special residents of Disney Springs, downtown Disney, and Walt Disney World. What did you think of these shows? Have you seen Drawn to Life? Did you see Nuba? Have you seen both? Really, please let us know. Join the conversation. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/WDMagicCast. On Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, we can be found at WDMagicCast. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we got the audio versions of the podcast there, as well as some other special little treats that you can check out from the parks and from Disney. You can leave us a voice message and be heard on the show. Leave us a voice message through the Anchor app or Anchor.fm website. Record your own message and be heard on the show. Don't want to go on there? Do it on your electronic device. Do it on your smartphone, your tablet, your computer. Record a message electronically and email it to us at email@wdmagiccast.com, where you can also send us any suggestions or questions you may have to that address as well. Links to all of these are in the show notes and on our website, which is www.wdmagiccast.com. I want to thank you for your time. I know the little time we all have these days, how crazy life is. And the fact that we get to spend some of this time together really means a lot to us here at WD Magicast. I cannot thank you enough. But if I could ask you, please share out that you're listening. Share a link on social networks. Let people know that you're listening to WD Magicast. Check the show out. Or go onto Apple Podcasts, go onto Stitcher, and leave us a rating or review. That will go a long way to help promote the show. We have all 5-star reviews at the moment. Truly blessed. Thank you so much. We can't do this without you. And you keep telling us, keep it coming. So we keep going. If you leave a rating and review on these apps, on these podcatchers, they will help promote the show as well. So, it's everyone wins. It's a win-win situation. Just takes a moment. You could leave a comment. You don't have to leave a comment. You could just highlight the 5 stars and be on your way. It's that simple. That simple. Don't forget to tell your friends about the show. Posting, tell the show where they find it. Like I said, post them online. The more people listening to the show, the better. The more that we can do. Walt believed in a big Disney family, and so do I. Don't forget to subscribe to the show while you're at it. This way you always know when a new episode is posted. While you're at it, also consider becoming a premium subscriber. Really help the show out. Let us bring you some more, even better content, and also better equipment. You can do this over at anchor.fm/WDMagicCast/support, or find our Patreon page. You can also check out our merchandise shop, where you get yourself some really cool WD Magiccast stuff. You get some cool stuff and help the show out. Promote the show, you get a cool shirt, hat, jacket, hoodies. We don't have hats yet. Working on the hat part. Mugs, notebooks, travel mugs, blankets, pillows, travel bags. My goodness, the list goes on and on of all the cool stuff that you can get over at our shop. Make sure you check it out. You can find the links for these in the show notes as well and on the website, because remember, this show is brought to you by listeners like you. Whatever you're facing out there, whatever darkness, troubles seem to be surrounding you and bothering you, no matter how impossible things may seem, do not give up. Please. I seriously mean this. Don't give up. Look deep in yourself. Find your light. Let it shine for the world to see. Don't listen to others, because they don't know you. You know you. You know how special you truly are and how wonderful you are. You are beautiful. You are unique. There is no one else like you, and the world is better for you in having you here. Be your own hero. Never give up. Never give in. Let your light shine for all to see. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Help will be given where it's needed. Now I'd like to end this week's show with a quote from Walt Disney himself. Disneyland is like Alice stepping through the looking glass. To step through the portals of Disneyland will be like entering another world. And that's Walt Disney. Thank you again for listening, everyone, and I'll see you next time.